Hello, beautiful people. It's Saturday Life with Oye Esther. It's Parenting Essential Time, and I'm glad to be here again. All right, let me know if you can hear me clearly, and let me know where you're joining me from today. Today, I am going to go straight into the point because we have very short time, and we are going to be eating the point so that we can be out of here. But let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know where you're joining me from, everyone. All right. If you are there, just say hello so that I can know that you are there. Let me share also. Let me share. Invite somebody if you don't mind. Parenting Essential Time with Oye. And today I'm talking about parenting in the mirror. Parenting in the mirror. We're going to break down some things that I've said over the time, and it seems there's no such such clarity is not there. The clarity is not enough. Let me put it that way. So that is why I'm going in depth into this today. So let me know where you're joining me from. Parenting in the mirror. If you're seeing my face for the very first time today, my name is Oye Esther. I'm a family life practitioner and parenting coach. And on this space, I am here to teach you about parenting. And this is called the Parenting Essentials from the Vision Guide, where we hold hands every Saturday evening to share essentials into parenting. And I'm just going to start by asking you, if I ask you to describe your parenting style in one word today, and you give an honest answer, what would that be? Describe your parenting style in one word. What do you think that is going to be? You don't have to put it on the chat box. You don't have to say anything, but be truthful to yourself, because this mirroring day is for us to be honest with ourselves. If you're not honest with yourself, if you cannot mirror aright. So for you to get the best out of today, you have to be able to say, you know what, I'm not going to deceive myself. I am just going to speak to myself the way it is. I'm not going to lie to me. So I'm employing you. I'm pleading that you should not lie to yourself today. Describe your parenting style in one word. What would that be? Just think about it. Flash on many words. What can you call your style? I'm not saying you should call it a professional name, but in your own opinion, what do you think you are doing? I've mentioned severally, I've said many times, if you're familiar with me and my teachings, I'm sure you have heard self-check many times, self-reflection severally. But what does that mean? How can I go about self-check? And today I am going to answer that question today. How can I go about self-check? I have said so much about self-check. Today, I want to guide you quickly on how you can go about your self-check. All right, once again, you're welcome. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. Welcome on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, Facebook, the Vision Guide. You're welcome. Let's go about it. I've just asked the question, if you're just joining, that how will you describe your parenting style in one word? Self-check. How can you go about it? And what does that mean? And before we go into that, why do you think reflecting in parenting matter? What does it even matter? So we've said this over the time, and some people don't even know why does that matter? How important is me as a parent? How important is it for me to reflect oftentimes, or once in a while, or every time? How important is it? It is, and does it even matter? What does that even mean? What is self-reflection? So I'm going to start by telling you what reflection in parenting means. I hope you can hear me and see me. If reflective parenting, what does that mean? When we talk about, I'm into reflective parenting, I always have a time to pause and check. I do my self-check. It means is the ability to step back. Listen. Ability to step back and observe your reaction, your motivations, and your assumption as a parent. So before you can do a reflective parenting or self-check, there must be a time to step back. And that is what I always call pause and check. Stop and check. So this time is for you to step back, pen down, hands down, off the table, you begin to observe your own reaction. Motivation. What is your motivation behind your decision? What are the assumptions you have as a parent? So let's look at how this impact our parenting. How does this impact your parenting? If you do all this regularly, which I'm going to still guide you how much to give you clarity on how to go about this, but how will this impact your parenting? This is going to help you to respond. To respond instead of reacting. So what many people do when they talk about giving back or responding, in their opinion, is reacting. So when you have the habit of reflective parenting, it's going to help you to respond rather than reacting. And I'm going to share with you what it means to respond and react, because quite a lot of people are still confused with these things. What do you mean by I'm responding? What do you mean by I'm reacting? Hold on, I'm going to get there quickly before we call it a day today. Another thing that this is going to help you is going to help you to build your emotional awareness. Many of us are not even aware about our emotions. We are exhausted, we are tired, and I'm just going to use few practical examples today before we call it a day. Reflective parenting is going to help you to be emotionally aware about you as a parent, on your own emotions, taking responsibility, taking ownership of your own emotions. And it's going to break negative pattern from childhood. Yes. Why a lot of things are happening to many of us in our parenting style is because of the baggage from childhood. So when you are intentional in reflecting, in taking a step back and checking, only then you are going to note. And this is going to help you to break this negative pattern from childhood. Some are still confused, and that is why I'm still here. Some are still like, you know what, we are still going around the circle. How can I do this? How is this possible? What do I need to do? How do I go about it? And that is why I'm going to break it down quickly before we go. Emphasis. Don't forget, when we reflect, it's going to help us to be intentional so that we don't just react, we will respond. If you're not intentional in taking a step back, you will never know that all you've been doing is reacting, not responding. Am I with you today? Am I with you today? I just finished a beautiful session with the visionaries, and it was a session for me also. And I was telling them how much that session meant to me. It was a time of reflecting, refreshing, healing, and many more. And I think this is one of the things we lack as parents in general. And when we get drained, exhausted, it can be very dangerous. So I'm talking about mirroring today. I'm talking about parenting in the mirror today. And I'm teaching exactly on how you can do this reflective parenting, because it's very important. It's very important. Let's assume maybe your child of 8 years or 10 years or thereabout in that age gap, he or she has refused to do homework or his homework. And you have said it a couple of times, go do your homework, go and do your homework. This time around, maybe you have said it 5 times. I know it can be tiring. I know you can feel exhausted, you can feel insulted, you can feel, you're not listening. That can naturally make you to step out and react. So how can you reflect in this situation? And the truth is, you have already had a long day. You're tired from work. And this instruction, you have given that same instruction previous day. Earlier in the morning before you left for work. You came back, you are still saying the same thing. So it's already a long day. So that make you feel disrespected. You're just going to snap, right? Am I right? Do we agree? You're going to snap. Then you raise your voice. But this is the point of reflection. I am not going in the direction of how you're going to correct your child if the child has done something wrong, but we're talking about you today. What I'm talking about today is you mirroring you, not the child. So let the child be for a moment. you are going to ask yourself some few questions that is going to help you to know if you're actually doing the right thing. And these questions are going to help you to reflect. And I said something when I started this session today, and I asked a question, and I said, be truthful to yourself this time. This is not a question that you need to respond in the chat or, deceive yourself. The moment you continue to deceive yourself, you cannot get the best out of life. And the only result is just being drained, living in denial, and that is not going to help you at all. It's not going to help you. What does what she's saying? What questions do I need to ask myself? The first question you have to ask yourself is, what was I feeling at that moment? The moment you raise your voice, or you snap, or you shouted, or you screamed, ask yourself, what was I feeling at the moment? We oftentimes take time to teach our children emotions, recognizing their emotions, but we don't know how much we don't know ourselves, or we don't know how much we are not giving back to ourselves. Then we are not even thinking in this direction. But it simply means for us to reflect, we need to ask this question. What was I feeling? Was I feeling upset? Was I feeling angry? Was I feeling disrespected? Why did I shout? I am not even talking about why shouting is bad at this moment. No. I'm teaching you a guide on how to be able to reflect by yourself without any professional. What was I feeling at this point? Was my reaction about my child or about me? A majority of parents at this point, they will say, no, I don't have problem. It's not me. The child made me scream. The child did something wrong, and that is why I screamed. We will justify it and keep justifying it, and we will not be able to proceed or progress in our reflection. Adult is tough. Adulthood is very difficult. At this moment, you do not want to hear anything and anybody. No, I am right. I'm right the way I shouted. Some of you will even give a hot slap, right? Some of you have stick in your corner. And you have every justification why these things are like that. I'm not going to tell you if it's bad or not, but I'll just tell you this for free. If you are still in the category of saying, my child made me shout, you are saying, I am not in control of my emotion. I am not worthy enough to be your parent because I lack self-control. That's what you're saying to the child. I can't manage myself. You are the one managing me. And that's what you're doing, and that's what you're saying. Back to my questions. I'm giving you questions that you need to ask yourself to ensure you are doing a reflective parenting. First one again, what was I feeling at this moment? Why did I react like that? Was my reaction about my child or about me? The third question you're going to ask is, what did my response teach my child in that moment? The way you responded to the child, the way you responded to the situation, the way you reacted, what lesson did my child learn? Be truthful to yourself. Some of you say, what? When I gave that child a slap, the child learned never to do that again. Congratulations. But be able to underline what lesson did that response teach my child at that moment. That's the fourth question. The third question you have to ask yourself. And the fourth question you have to ask yourself is, what might I do differently? Or what would I have done differently if I pause and reflect? Let's assume you have shouted. Let's assume you have actually screamed. Let's assume you have actually hit the child, and in this case, you didn't look well. The child now hit his head on the wall or on the door or at a table or something. And at this time, there's a cut on the child. You're trying to feel good, and you're saying, no, you made me do it. Just bring your head, let me wipe it. You still want to make sure that you are in denial of your emotions, and you are still telling now you are bleeding. It's not. See, you have listened. You should not have you got out because you're not listening. But ask this sincere question: what might I, what can I do differently if I had paused, or what would have happened if I paused and reflected before I react? If you can genuinely ask yourself this question, then you are on a journey. You are on the path that we are talking about. You are on the path to recognize that, you know what? When I'm not doing something right, I need to be sincere to myself that this is wrong. You're on a path to be that person that you need to be to parent right. There is that person that you have to be for you to parent right. It is not you being soft or not being able, or you feel like you are not capable. No, but you are aiming into growth. Being sincere with yourself. So what tool do you need? If you are not taking anything home today, I want you to go home with this tool that I'm going to give to you. The first thing you have to introduce to yourself is pause, reflect, and respond. You pause, you reflect, you respond. This is a magic tool that if you indeed keep it safe in your hands, you will never find yourself in an ugly situation that you will ever have to say to your child, you caused it because you made me hungry. You pause. That was the stepping back I mentioned earlier. You reflect. What will I do? What should I do? When I did this last time, did they learn anything? Did she learn anything? How should I handle this situation now? Then you can respond. So in this case, your response will not be a reaction. It will be a response indeed. When you have paused to reflect, you are not just going to react, but you are going to respond. And this means your child will learn from the situation because you have handled it well. And the child will know what they have done wrong. And some people will still tell me, you're just saying, I've seen people and I've heard people. You're just saying what I don't understand. So you tell me all this thing is just possible if I didn't hit the head of that child on the wall. And that's not why I'm here today. At the end of the day, I love your children, but I'm sure I can't love them more than you love them. So make sure that you are able to mirror aright. Mirror aright. It is very important. I feel like just stopping at those 3 points so that you take it home safe. You pause, you reflect, and you respond. Can I say that again? I'll pause, I'll reflect, then I'll respond. And this is not just about, when we talk about parenting, I've said it many times, I'm not talking about mothers only. I'm talking about both fathers, mothers, and caregivers. I am going to pause. I will reflect, then I will respond, so that I don't react and my child is going to learn what they need to learn from the situation. So how can we also mirror some situation in our parenting? How can we have a mirror moment? Mirror moment is not just about that. We can also mirror what is happening in the life of our children to be able to know where it's coming from. We can also mirror that. Maybe a child always get anxious, making mistakes. They get anxious when they make mistakes. They are very nervous not to make mistakes. They are afraid. They are so afraid that, if I carry the plate, I'm going to break it. If I do the math, I might make a mistake. Sometimes we are not sensitive to child psychology as a parent, and we mismanage them in this situation. You don't know why your child is always missing when it comes to math. Only little mistake they're doing. It might be an anxiety. And if you don't want it to be a disorder, you need to reflect as a parent. Instead of saying, I have said this 10 times. Why is it difficult for you to just understand that you carry this one, you don't leave it there? You don't use used or use. It's a past tense. Why are you saying dozens? Even me as an adult, I learned that. I always say to my friends, if you are close to me, don't come and pick my English. I do not know English. Listen to my teaching. I'm not saying your child should not know English. Because I know some people, that's why they want me to be that big Mosheda. No, that's not what I'm talking about today. We have things that we learned, we are still learning as an adult. But you don't know why you're telling the child. It is not 12 dozens. It is 12 dozen. You don't polarize it. I'm just giving that as an example. So now the child is anxious. The child is so scared to just speak anything because you know that, hey, if I go speak blunder, I'm in trouble. But we don't know what we are doing to our children in this regard. We just feel like, you know what? I'm very intentional with my children. So you are catching every mistake. You are not just catching every mistake and correcting instantly. You are damaging the child. You are breaking their confidence. Your approach is wrong. I'm not talking about those who are approaching it in a nice way. If you're hearing me and you're doing something, you know what you're doing at this moment. So this, your child is getting anxious about making mistakes. A child always needs reassurance. Mommy, am I beautiful? We don't know what we are doing. No. We don't know when we need to pause and actually reflect and do something fast before it's too late. Mommy, how is my jeans? I am not saying your child cannot ask you these questions, but it's constant. I'm talking about a reoccurrence. Your child is dressed, but that child does not feel okay until you say the child is okay. There is fire on the mountain. Run right now. Run fast. But you just feel like, you know what, my child loves me. Sometimes we don't know that dangers are ahead, but we see it as love. Mommy, is my haircut nice? Is my haircut nice? The child is asking you 20 times. And you know your child that the only when you say, oh, this haircut is nice, that's where the child will be calm. Why not train the child to ask the child for his opinion about the haircut? So that you can know the child you are raising. So, we're talking about mirroring and checking our children. We want to reflect to see where things are wrong or maybe they're getting it from us. That is what I'm trying to explain now. Then you realize, you know what? If you pause, you will realize that maybe you have been doing the same in front of them. And because, they are adult situation, we don't know how much we are doing this and we don't see it. Maybe you are expecting a delivery, for example. It's an important delivery, but the children are watching you. Every time you're expecting a delivery, you are very, very anxious, nervous. Or you have a submission or a deadline. Maybe you're studying or you have jobs or you have deliveries at work. You know that you have a meeting tomorrow and there's deliveries. You have to meet up. They already see you. They are used to this is how life is. But you don't know. Because you know what? I'm doing my job. You're very diligent in your business. So don't be selfish. And that's why we're talking about mirroring. When you've noticed these things, as much as you are working on your children, helping them to get their confidence, trace yourself. There's something that you might not even put your mind or pay attention to. This. Why is this person not here? Why is this? They'll just be looking at you and they are just becoming that. So when something else happened to them, you don't know why they are behaving like that. Because you don't see it as something that relates. It's a lot. So please be guided. So I'm going to give you some guided questions again in this regard. What behavior of mine might be my child or am I modeling to my child? What behavior? What am I doing that is making my child to always need validation? My child is always in need of reassurance, overpraising. And that's one of the things I put in my book. Overpraising does more harm than good. These things might be so little. Can we pay attention? What am I modeling to this child? And when you are able to trace and answer that question, you ask yourself genuine question. Where did I learn this pattern from? Wait, where did you learn this from? I see where this child has picked this from me. But where did I learn it from? And sometimes a lot of us don't know how to answer this question because, you know what, we love our parents so much. And we don't want to be rude. You don't want to say, oh, I see. I get that from my dad. My dad used to do this. Or I got that from my mom. Because you think it's respect. You are not going to be able to achieve what you want to achieve because you have to be able to identify where you got that from. That is after you've been able to trace the modeling that is affecting your child. Then the last thing you have to do is, how can I model self-compassion or self-control, depending on what the child is struggling with. Some children, they don't have empathy. Initially, you don't know that they lack empathy. You think you are raising a brave child. And some of these children are affected because we tell them, you know what? Boys don't cry. Stand up. Toughen up. You have trained them. You have said it many times that boys don't cry. Toughen up. Toughen up. Gradually, they became tough and they lost empathy. So when they see anybody falling off, even you as a parent, you cut your nails. I was like, didn't you see me that I say, ouch? I was cutting chicken and I said, ouch. Why are you not even bothered? Then you start to think, why is my child like this? Why is my child like this? I don't know. I've seen parents who have shared that many times. I don't know if you are here or you're going to watch this later. Maybe you can begin to connect the dots. Why? The child doesn't care. The sister fell off. They're just sitting there. They don't care. You will stand up when it's time. No empathy. That might be, I'm not saying that is the only reason why a child might like empathy. That might be, you might have said to them many times, you are a strong girl. You are a strong girl. Then you raise an damaged adult who cannot speak out. You cannot trust anybody. You cannot share their opinion. That is why a lot of people are victims of molestations and violence. Violence in their marriage. Abuse. Emotional abuse. Physical abuse. Mental abuse. And the child will remember, they are used to toughen up. Don't cry. Do this. So what are we doing with our growing glories? What exactly are we doing? I need to round up. What are we doing? I hope we are able to write down these reflective questions because they are very important. But the truth is, if you are not able to tell yourself the truth when you are answering them, you cannot get results. If you still live in denial, if you have every reason why you should not answer those questions correctly, it's a battle. It's a battle. A big tug of war. You just keep pulling it. You just keep pulling it. Don't forget that children are not just listening, they are observing who we are. Our children are not just listening to us, they are observing who we are. And they are like the sponge that just soak up water. They are soaking up not because they want to soak up, but because they don't have choice. How do I mean? Get a sponge, put water in your sink and drop the sponge in that water. That sponge, I have no choice than to soak that water. Even if I don't want to soak this water, they have no capacity, they have no ability to resist the water because they are already inside the water. So when it comes to parenting our children, they are automatically going to absorb, suck in who we are. By default, they do not have choice. So what are you doing with your growing glory? Have you ever thought this way before? I know. We are modeling. We say these things every time that it's become so normal that, listen to parenting. Are they not going to say the same thing? What do they want to say that we have not heard before? But have you been, have you taken a time to step back sincerely with yourself to see what you're doing with your children? So why are people finding it hard to reflect? Why? Why do people find it hard? Why is it difficult to reflect? There are a few reasons why people don't want to reflect. And one of the reasons is what I've said over the time today. Like living in denial. You don't want to face the truth. So you don't even have that time to reflect. Another thing is I don't have time. I don't have time, Daddy. What will I get all those time for? I will now sit, or I will now be when I'm supposed to be. We see it as a burden. We see it as an extra job to reflect. I don't have time. Some people, they see it as it's not comfortable. I now begin to think or relax. It's not comfortable. So that shows how much damage you have had over the time. Might be childhood. I'm not saying. It might be. A lot of people are not even used to rest. You are not even used to taking a pause, treating your body. it feels so weird, very uncomfortable. And that is why a lot of people cannot reflect. And a lot of people will not still reflect because they will say, I'm going to parent the way I was parented. Because you see your mom and your dad very intelligent, very smart. They raised you well. Everything excellent. You cannot barely point to something that, you know what, they didn't do well in this part. Almost zero. So you feel it is totally okay for you to just copy the pattern, their style, and do it. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Because most of you or most of us were raised when? What is happening now? Does it relate? Is it the same? So do you think you can copy that style, just copy and paste? There is fire on the mountain. Oh yeah, round up. So I want you to, if you feel you're very busy, if you feel you're very, very busy, if you feel like, you know what, I'm too busy, can you cultivate 2 minutes, maybe bedtime, in your bed, when you lie down, you finish? Just cultivate 2 minutes and just browse in your head. Just reflect. A micro reflection. You can make it a bedtime routine. Another thing you can do is always get that moment when you have an emotional moment. Maybe you're parenting in your life. Just reflect. Pause. You don't have to respond to every message you receive at time. You don't have to respond to your children immediately, as long as it is not a risk. It is not something that is urgent, high risk. It's okay. They'll be okay. They'll be fine. Can you cultivate new habits so that you can be the best for them? All right, let me see who those who are joining me today. Do I have questions? Question, please. Let me go check Instagram. So we need to be serious with this. It is very important. We need to take our life serious. We need to begin to see this in another way, in a different way entirely. It is very, very important. We need to see this in a very, very different way. Let's be practical. Let's be real when we are dealing with reflection in our parenting. You know, what version of me shows up most times when I am overwhelmed? How do I react when I'm angry? How do I respond to my children? How do I respond to their needs? If you don't ask and answer it yourself, you will never know. What pattern from my upbringing do I want to take out now that is not working for me? How am I going to model emotional stability to my children, emotional regulation? Only you and you can ask that question. You can get help from a professional, but you need to answer that question first before a professional will help you, especially when you underline those things, the patterns from your childhood experiences. How can I model healthy boundaries? What is the small shift that I need to do today? What are the things I need to be intentional about? Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Do we have questions? I can see my darling friend there, Madam Ojomo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. Finally, just sorted the sound. Okay. It was not... Okay. All right. Was I not audible for a while? All right. Okay. Thank you all for joining me today. Do we have question? Thank you so much, everyone. Did we get something today? If you're joining now or you're joining later, can I let me know at least you get a point out of today's session? Did you get something or nothing? Or maybe because you're just joining late. You can as well watch this again. You can come back and watch this broadcast again. And please, mirroring is very important. Reflective parenting is very important. I am at a different phase of life, and I'm also doing reevaluation, and many other things. And I think we all need to get to that point of life that, you know what, be sincere to yourself. I know you are not lying to yourself before, but in this case, in a different way, in a different level entirely. And I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining me today. God bless you. Okay, no, not you. All right, I'm glad to be part of this session. Bro Nathan, thank you for joining me today. That's my brother. Thank you so much for joining me. And did you get something? Are you just joining? Did you get something today? And next week, oh my goodness, I am very excited for next week. And if you're a single lady, eligible single lady, and you have not registered for next week's session, you're on your own. Next week's session is a session that every single lady should not miss. So if you know somebody, you have a friend, you have a sister, you have an auntie, that they're eligible single, please don't let them miss next week. So next week I'm not going to be live because I'm going to be on Zoom with the eligible single ladies. Quite a number of people have registered, even though I don't want it to be crowded so that people can as well share and ask questions. But I have not closed the form yet. Please invite those you love. It doesn't matter if they are 40. It doesn't matter if they are 45. They are single and they're eligible. Please let them be there. It's going to be a very powerful session. It's going to be a very safe space. And it's going to be very therapeutic also. We're going to be letting out. We're going to be rediscovering ourselves. They will. And I'm giving myself out for this. And this session is totally free. And I know how much I charge for this session on a normal day. And I'm doing this. And I want everyone to take advantage of this. Take advantage. Invite somebody. Let them be there. It's going to be awesome. I'm just looking forward to that. It's going to be, but men are not allowed in this. So if you're a guy, please stay away. Maybe when I feel led, I've never done a session for men before, like a group of men. Maybe I mix ladies, but I've not done a separate. And I think it's not really fair on guys. They don't always have this moment when it comes to things like this. Okay, we see. Maybe it's going to happen one day. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. And if you're seeing my face for the very first time today, my name is Oye Esther. Ronat said what? Sorry, I'm just joining now, please. All right, that's fine. You can as well watch this later. It was my Facebook that needed update. Okay. All right, you can watch this again anytime, any day. It's going to be here if Facebook did not delete. Because I think last month, yeah, and it's always on YouTube. All our videos are on YouTube. But maybe you have noticed all my live sessions for past years has been deleted by Facebook. Everything. You can't come to my page now and see any old life. They deleted everything for the past years. But the good news is every time we are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube also. So we have all our videos on YouTube. You can always go to our live session on our page, on our YouTube channel, The Vision Guide, and you're going to see all this video there. Once again, thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget, as we go, that parenting must be intentional, parenting must be purposeful, parenting must be full of vision. And that is why I say only the vision, guys. I love you with the love of God. God bless you.